listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espinlov Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Monday evening at the Funny Farm. Oh my. Thank you. Cheers and whistles and hand clapping and people standing on their head, clapping their feet. I like that. And some are sitting down, clapping their feet. That's something different around here. But excuse me, this is the Funny Farm. You're listening to the George Espinlov Show. Yep, coming to you live from the Funny Farm, like we do every Monday through Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We want you to sit back. We got the hardest part of Monday done. Now we want you to sit back, prop your feet up, and listen to our guest tonight. But before we bring our guest on and put her in the chair, I want you to email me, georgece@comcast.net. That's georgece@comcast.net. We are getting response. We are getting wonderful response. Let me put it that way. But we want more response. So email me, georgece@comcast.net. And I promise you, you email us and we will answer you for sure. I promise you that. We want to thank everyone that's tuned in. Didn't we have a really good week last week, huh? We had a real good week, didn't we? Yeah, we did. And we're going to have the same or even better this week. And it's Monday night. And there's no better way of kicking off this show than to bring our guest on, Benita Tyler. Benita, welcome to the George Espinlov Show.
Hello. Thank you so much, George, for having me.
Glad to have you. Our privilege. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I am the author of my very inspirational book, Addicted to Dysfunction, Released to Live Life Out Loud. And I am also a mother, a wife, a spiritual mentor, and I'm just someone who really likes to talk to people and edify people and try to make a difference in other people's lives.
And you're way out there in Indiana.
Yes, Kokomo, Indiana.
Kokomo. Yeah. That's, we were talking before we went on the air, and I said, I've heard of Kokomo. And then she said, well, that's the Beach Boys thing. Yep, that's where I heard it from. The Beach Boys. You have written, I guess. Sometimes we tear the English language apart around here. But anyhow, you have put words to paper. A book entitled, give me the title again.
Addicted to Dysfunction, Released to Live Life Out Loud.
Addicted to Dysfunction. Released to Live Life Out Loud. My. Let me ask you something before we go any further. As I was going down the table of contents, and I got down there to a little spot, and I wanted to ask you this question. I know the answer, but I want our listeners to hear this. You naturally believe, because you've experienced it yourself, but you naturally believe that one can be addicted to dysfunction. Is that correct?
I absolutely do. I really do. so much so that you become so engrossed in either your own dysfunction or other people who are in your life's dysfunction. And sometimes you don't even know it, and you can be pulled so deep into it that you lose yourself.
And I'm going to ask you this. Sometimes I can ask some squirrely questions, but bear with me. Is it possible that there are many people in our society today that are living a dysfunctional life, and they
George,
Pardon?
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, I absolutely believe that there are. I believe that we all are dysfunctional in our own way. Some of us don't care to admit it. There's, different levels of dysfunction. So, we all have a piece of that.
Is there people that believe that? Is there people that believe they are? Is there people that are dysfunctional, but they don't believe or don't think they are dysfunctional?
Yes, and that's the problem, George. That is the thing that brings problems to our lives when we are dealing with someone who is dysfunctional, whether that be, mentally, as I stated earlier, there's so many different ways that we show our dysfunction. And a lot of people, we all tend to think that we are it, that we have the it factor, and there's nothing wrong with us, when in reality, we all carry some sort of dysfunction, and it does sometimes interfere with our relationships and the way that we treat and relate with other people.
I'm sure. In fact, I know if you ask my wife of 45 years, she will tell you just how dysfunctional I am. And of course,
well, as long as you can admit it as well, that's the key.
Oh yeah, I am dysfunctional. I usually tell people I am abnormally normal, or am I normally abnormal? I'm one of those two. Your life, it hasn't been a bed of roses, has it?
Not in any shape or form. I've had my share of trials and tribulations, which prompted me to write this book. I felt like I could use my life experiences to help others. So what I did was I decided to, write my life story and kind of break it down over, my entire life. And I tried to find those key areas of dysfunction that I suffered the most. And I also attached those to specific people and was able to, not only help myself, but I believe that I will be able to help others as well.
When you wrote this, how long did it take you to write this?
Well, actually, it was rather a cathartic experience, so it didn't really take me that long, George. I kind of came up with the idea in April of 2010, and I just kind of jotted down a few things and just kind of walked away from it for a while. And then some of that dysfunction seeped in that just barely took me over the edge around November of 2010. And at that point, that's when I really started to really write the book. So actually, it took me a little bit less than a year to put everything together. But once I got going, it was relatively quick.
When you was writing the book, I assume that as you was putting words to the paper, I assume that it was almost like watching a movie in your mind of whenever, wherever, and whatever. Is that correct?
It is, yes. I was able to, go back and talk about the what, when, why, who, and how. And not only in doing that, but also, being reflective and being able to accept my own responsibility in the dysfunction. As I stated, we are all dysfunctional. And a lot of the people that I dealt with in my life, especially the 5 male figures that I talk about in this book, I had to accept my piece of dysfunction that I added to the situations my own self.
Good therapy?
It was good therapy. Sometimes we don't take responsibility for ourselves or our own actions. And in order to be released to live life out loud, that's what we have to do.
I like what you wrote. You said, so what if I am 50 years old? That just means, I like this, that just means I'm not ashamed to tell you the naked truth. Self-loathing, depression, suicidal thoughts, murder, and anger were just the tip of the iceberg as I transition through life, learning new lessons. I like that. I guess we could sum it up as that you just laid your soul bare in front of God and everyone.
I really did. And, when you're writing a book like this where you're opening up and bearing your soul, at first, with me, for example, I felt like, wow, do I really want to put myself out there? But then I thought, God was kind of pulling on my heartstrings and pushing me in that direction, pushing me into my purpose of life and saying, go ahead and do this because you are going to help somebody. This story is going to be bigger than you, and it's not about you. It's about being candid and being honest and being open and being able to help people.
I like people that excuse me that write such things, because it's something that every single one of us can relate to in one way or another. Maybe not all of it, probably not all of it, but small portions. I believe every one of us can relate to something like that. I was going to ask you that question next. Were there times when you was writing? Because I write, excuse me, and I've written things over my life that I have sat back and said, after I wrote it, do I really want to put that out there? And I would get these thoughts. And then I would realize, no, that come from your innermost being, so it's got to go. That's what I was going to ask you, and you answered that for me, and you laid yourself bare. What about the 5 men that was in your life?
Yes, well, how I break it down is in the beginning of the book, when I get started, my first dysfunctional experience and disappointment came from my father. So he is the chapter of disappointment. And I talk about him, and I kind of, let the reader know, how his absence really affected me in my life, and, how, I went through my entire life reaching out to this man who, was just unavailable. And so because of his inability to be available to me, some of that dysfunction kind of seeped into my mind, when dealing with other men. So then I go on to talk about choices. The chapter of choices is very interesting. This is a chapter for, anybody actually, but it's a good minister tool for young adults who are thinking about being in a relationship. I talk about how my mother met a man who was a good man. He was a great provider. He took care of my mother and my sister and I. We had all the material things that we needed, the great middle class life. However, he had some dysfunction that seeped into their relationship. His dysfunction was he was very controlling, very jealous. My mother couldn't do anything without being under his thumb. So the takeaway there is that when we are getting ready to be in relationships, we have to use good judgment about our choices. And just because someone who's able to provide for you materialistically does not always mean that that is a good fit for you. And then I go on to talk about the chapter of forgiveness, which is always a tough subject for most of us. Forgiveness was probably the hardest for me, not with just this particular individual, but just in life in general. But the forgiveness chapter deals with my first love and some of the things that we went through and some choices that we made not to have a child together, and everything that we had to deal with associated to that decision. And my next chapter is called Awareness. And this is a very interesting chapter, George. And the reason why I say that is because I was 21 years old, married a man who was 19, and because of my dysfunction from the disappointment chapter, when I got married at 21, I expected my husband of only 19 years to live up to this great example that my father did not. I wanted him to be a man who, kind of was modeled after, your Leave It to Beaver fathers and, those great TV fathers that I watched on TV who, were emotionally available to their families, emotionally available to their child, spending a lot of time, just having a great relationship. And so when I married him and he did not measure up to my idea, jaded picture of what a marriage looked like, I had a hard time with it. And because he was so young and because he brought to the table a lot of his own dysfunction, that seeped into the relationship. He didn't have a mom or a dad, and he was raised by, an aunt. And, so he had his own cup of dysfunction. And I had my own cup of dysfunction. And when we blended our dysfunction together, we had a really rough go of it. What we did have was 3 beautiful children together before he was murdered. And so that is the chapter of awareness. And then when I talk about the final chapter, which is the chapter of acceptance, I'm actually talking about my husband that I'm married to now of 20 years. And what I'm talking about in that chapter, George, is really some things that could really rip apart a relationship. My husband's a great man, but he has a lot of baggage. So when I met him, he already had 5 children by 3 different people. So, now we're adding in extra dysfunction. We've got everybody's dysfunction, that we're trying to have a marriage and we're dealing with, his ex-wife who was strung out on drugs. We ended up getting his children. We ended up adopting a child. I ended up coming to live in this great town called Kokomo against all types of obstacles that I had to face, just being an outsider. So the chapter of acceptance is basically just saying that, once everything is all said and done, if you're married to someone, who you really have a great relationship with and you really love them, and you can kind of get to the point where you have to accept that person for who they are. Yes, they do have the baggage, and yes, the baggage, was really something that, nearly sent me over the edge. But at the same time, this is a great man who really loves me. And so, just finding acceptance for his children, acceptance, for him, acceptance for the way, his baggage played out in my life. Not saying that it was okay, but just knowing that if I'm going to be in this relationship, this is the man that I chose. And so I have to be accepting of him instead of critical and just being what God wants you to be when you marry a partner. So that kind of sums it up, and those were the lessons that I learned, and I'm glad that I learned those lessons, and I'm glad that I was able to relate them back. Sometimes it takes a lifetime, as I said in the book. When I say, so what, I'm 50, it took me 50, to be 50 to say, you know what, so what all these things happen? They happen to everybody. These are everyday life problems. And it's time to live that second chapter. God doesn't want me to walk through life, being disappointed, unable to forgive, not being aware, unable to make choices, unable to be accepting of others. If I can't do those things, then he can't use me for the ministry that he wants me to have.
Excuse me, our society is just, I get, for lack of a better term, our society is just broke. I mean, it's just broke everywhere we look. And this dysfunction thing is no respecter of persons by any means.
Absolutely.
What could someone do that, like a newborn baby? Babies don't have a choice of who their parents are going to be or where they're going to be born and so on and so forth. What about kids that are born that it just seems like they've got 3 strikes against them before they even start to walk? Is there hope for people like that?
I believe that, it's no easy road when you have those 3 strikes against you. But I believe that everybody can triumph over the chaos and rise to victory. I would say the key point of doing that, or the key thing to do to have that type of successful life, is to be able to be honest with yourself. I mean, if you walk through life wanting to have a pity party, saying, okay, I've got 3 exes against me, this happened, that happened, and so I'm going to carry that burden, I'm going to carry that dysfunction, I'm going to repeat my pity party story all throughout my life. Well, you're not going to have a successful life. But when you can face those challenges head on and realize that, these things are not my fault. Yeah, they are going to be some propensities that are going to be part of my personality and part of who I am, but I can rise above that. I have to learn how to accept who I am and try to better myself, whether that be through counseling, through education, through a great spiritual relationship, and having a great, friends and people around you. You can have a successful life.
I believe that a lot of folks kind of take their young ones for granted without understanding or realizing we have a grave responsibility to raise those kids up the way that they should go. But as I said, society is just plain broke. And when you say that we're addicted to dysfunction, when did you start to realize you were addicted to this thing called dysfunction, and when did you start to pull yourself up out of it?
I believe that I started realizing, that I was addicted, and actually placing the word dysfunction to what I was addicted to just of late, within the last few years. And I knew that I was addicted because, when I speak about my husband's baggage and things that, went on in our relationship, I was always, one of the ones who, what happened, who got arrested, just pouring myself into it, not really, even being excited about them, being arrested or having whatever type of problem they had, but still just wanting to know, just wanting to get that information, continuing to talk about, old wounds and, drudging up stuff that happened 2 or 3 years ago, and just, staying on that roller coaster, going back, back and forth into, that pain instead of just releasing it and moving forward. And when I started to write this book, I was at a point where I was, really depressed. I had gotten to a point where I was not, taking care of Benita the way I should, as far as, not really so much my outer appearance, but, my inner self, just taking, care of my emotions, being good and nice to myself. So when I wrote this book, it really helped me to say, it's time to quit. It's time to release myself from that. And, and I can say successfully that I've been able to do that because I'm still married to the same man. The baggage is still there. Not a lot has changed as far as individuals and, the dysfunction that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I'm focused in a new direction. I've walked away from that. I've found my purpose and the things that I need to be doing and the things that I need to do to take care of Benita, so it's working for me.
So when we're addicted to dysfunction, I guess it's up to, I don't know how to say this. I guess it's up to each individual to bring themselves out of this thing, or it's up to not only that individual but others around them to help them come up out of this dysfunction. I mean, things are so twisted and broken, and it just a million, everywhere you look, there's a million different pieces laying around. What's the answer to this, Benita?
Well, I think it's twofold. It's the person actually admitting that there are some problems. That they do have some problems. Whether that be drug use, depression, suicidal thoughts, problems with sexual addictions, whatever that may be. Just being able to admit that you have the problem. And then the second part would be to look for those people. And they might not be in your family. They're not always your family or your friends. You have to look to find people that will edify you and help to raise you up. But you have to take that responsibility piece yourself to get there. For example, one way that I was able to do that, I didn't completely, release my own self. Like I said, writing the book was one tool that helped me, but another tool that helped me as well was, those inspirational authors that I look up to, like your Joyce Meyers, your Ivana Von Sant, writers like that who, really write these great books that are meant to really help you pull yourself up from your bootstraps and get in a mindset where you are able to look through a new clear pair of lenses and see that there is hope on the other side and that you can get there if you're willing to do the work.
Let me tell our listeners, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I would please, I'm asking you, go to Amazon.com and just type in up there in the search box, Addicted to Dysfunction or Benita Tyler, Tyler, and get this. It's available on the Kindle. You can get it, the hard copy, but do yourself a favor and you get it. And then you pass it on to the next person. And I told Benita that as soon as this show's over tonight, I'm bringing it down on my Kindle. And I've got a feeling, I've got this gut feeling that this is one of those books that once you sit down and you open it up and you begin to read, you're going to find it awfully hard to get back up and do something else. So go to Amazon.com, Addicted to Dysfunction, and do yourself a favor. How much did the spirituality part play in your life, Benita?
Well, I would have to say that was really the key thing because, as I sat down and I wrote this book, I hadn't always been a person who attended church on, every Sunday type basis. I was baptized when I was about 9 years old, And so I've always had a love for God, and He's always been a part of me, you know. And so as I sat down and wrote this book, I realized that, you know, throughout all the chapters of my life and throughout all the lessons, you know, He never left me or never forsaken me. He was always there. I could always look back as I was writing my book. I could always look back and see, you know, where He had an exit door that took me to where I needed to be, you know, right before the brink of disaster. So, you know, the spiritual part, very profound, very important, and a key thing that helped me, and it has helped me throughout my life, that will always help me to stay grounded and stay on track.
There's a fellow that wrote a book, wrote a song years ago, and I'm trying to think of his last name. His first name's Gary. I can't remember. It'll come to me 6 weeks from now. But it's titled "He Was There All the Time," and through the darkness, through the storms, through the turmoil, through it all, He was there all the time. I am a firm believer that somehow, and I know people will shake their head at me or look at me like I have two heads, but I have always been a firm believer that God will make a way for anyone, even if it seems like there is no way. He'll place something in front of you, a person, an opportunity, the open door, something, regardless of your circumstance. I don't care how severe they are or how hopeless it might look. I believe that God will make a way for that individual. Do you believe that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just like you said, you know, God is no respecter of person. You know, he is there for everyone. You know, a lot of people, you know, like you said, don't believe that, but it is so true. And if you really sit down and you really look at your life, and, you know, especially if you've had a life that has had a lot of challenges and difficulties, if you really sit down and take a look at that, you can see, you know, where He was and who He used, you know, or what He used, whether it's been a person, an object, a book, whatever that may be, to help you to turn a corner in your life, to go down a different direction. But yes, I wholeheartedly believe that, you know, He is there for all of us, no matter what the circumstances.
Addicted to dysfunction. That's that title says it all. And you got 36 chapters in your book. My goodness. You just laid yourself bare, and it's out there for anyone to look at, and we can all learn lessons from it. Forgiveness. How hard have you found it to forgive those that hurt you?
Well, actually, like I said, the forgiveness part, I've always been a person, you know, that, you know, want to carry that grudge, you know, and that kept me in my dysfunction. You know, you just want to just be like, you know, I'm just so mad, you know, and, you know, you just don't want to look past, you know, the egregious things that maybe, you know, this person has done to you. But I learned that the forgiveness piece is so important, because if you look at it in terms of you're not forgiving them for them, you're doing it for you. It's very important for you to forgive them for you, so that you can close those chapters and heal, so that you can move on. You're also forgiving them too, but the forgiveness, it has to be in order for you to heal, you have to do it for you. So that was what I had to do. There was a couple individuals, in my life that it was really tough to forgive. I mean, they just done thing after thing after thing. So it was really tough, to find that forgiveness piece. But I found that now that I've been able to forgive them and to move on with my life, I'm a better person for it. And I think that sometimes the reason why we don't forgive is because of fear. That was a big thing that plagued me throughout my life was fear, fear of making a mistake, fear of, just being able to speak up, for instance. I had a lot of fear. I've always been a very confident person, someone who, has a great smile and people gravitate to me. But, in the back of my mind, I had that piece that dealt with fear, where I would just hide myself, when I was having all this dysfunction, just being thrown at me. I just want to run in my house and, kind of close the door and, just wallow in my fear, and so the forgiveness part has allowed me to, let go of fear, and replace fear with hope, and, I'm better for it.
Do you think that fear thing, do you think that many of us are afraid to forgive or whatever we have to do because it'll somehow exemplify to others that we might be weak?
I think you're onto something there, and I think that that's why people don't want to forgive, because the first thing that comes to your mind is why should I forgive them for this big egregious thing that they've done, because if I forgive them, I'm sending a message that, hey, it was okay that you've done that. Mm-hmm. But in reality, that's not really what you're doing. In forgiving it, it's not saying that the egregious act was okay. It's just saying that, I need to forgive so that I can heal, and that people do make mistakes because we're all human and no one's perfect. So, if we are able to forgive them, somehow we are actually, without even knowing it, we are actually giving some edification to that person as well, because, when they see that, wow, this, I've done all of these things to this person, and wow, they can forgive me. It might seem like they don't care, but they really do care, and it does, in turn, make a small amount of difference in their life as well. They become, eventually, better people also.
I believe that, Benita. When you forgive someone, and we live in this crazy age where everybody's got to be macho and don't bruise my ego, and people would rather watch somebody punch somebody else on the end of the nose than to say, I'm sorry, or forgive me. We're just twisted. But yet, when you tell someone, look, I forgive you, and if there's a crowd around, people always got to put that air on, But I agree with you, when they walk away and when they're by themselves, that's deep in their soul, and I don't care what they do, where they go, it don't leave them, and it has to have an effect on that person, even if they don't want it to have. It's got to have an effect on that person. But we're just so afraid that I'm gonna show my weakness by saying I forgive them, or like you said, people say, well, it's all right to do something to them because they'll just forgive you and they won't do anything in return. with your with your life now, is there a piece there that wasn't there before?
Yes, I believe that I have a renewed spirit. I have more drive and more purpose. I've always been, a hard worker. Pretty good girl. For the most part. But now I'm more on purpose. It's like, I think that sometimes age has something to do with that as well. You get to a point in your life where, you don't sweat the small stuff. It's like, I've got X amount of time to do this, and I've got to do it now. I can't wait. I can't just sit around wasting time. I used to waste a lot of time, just sitting around, in my dysfunction. But now, I try to make every moment count. When I have time available, I'm trying to stay busy, doing what it is that God purposed me for, and that is, being a motivational person, edifying people, writing, this book, and, I do plan on writing others. So just staying on purpose and doing the work that I need to do. So that has been my big change.
Do you do any speaking engagements?
I am now trying to network to go into that arena, because that is something that I have always wanted to do. I've always noticed that I've had this unique ability to motivate others. Even way back in middle school, I've always been had my little circle of influence, so, I had to learn that is my purpose. So, it's never too late to engage into what your purpose is. And so that is ultimately where I want to go, is to be a motivational speaker and to be able to, go out into the world and edify God's people and lift them up and give them the tools that they need to be able to be released to live life out loud and get out of that dysfunctional state.
A lot of times we just take for granted that people know, excuse me, that people know about things that we know about, but they don't know anything about it at all. Did that make sense?
It does. We assume that people know, so many things about us, but like you said, they don't. They're not going to know unless you tell them.
There's nothing like. Let me use an example. There's nothing like a group of kids in a school assembly that can look upon and listen with their own ears, see with their own eyes, an individual that is just like them, that come from the same situations or has the same problems that they have. And all of a sudden they realize, I'm not the only person in the world that has ever went through this or has ever felt that. That person standing up there is standing up there because they went through exactly what I'm going through, and so now I have hope. I think that you have a message, and people. I call them big people, little people, and people in between. Red, yellow, black, and white. They need to hear this, Benita. They need to read it. They need to hear it. And they need you to see you standing, and standing tall, and your shoulders back, your head held up high, and you give all the praise and all the glory to God. They need to hear that. I really believe that you're going to step out and some miraculous things are going to take place because you found your niche. I really, here's what I want to do. I want to stay in touch with you. I want you to tell me how things are progressing, so I can tell our listeners if there's anything at all I can do to help you. I want you to get a hold of me. And soon, and very soon, I think doors are going to open that perhaps you never even saw before. But people need to hear. And I think God's going to make a way that you can deliver your message to big people, little people, and people in between. I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much. And, that is really what I'm claiming as well for myself. And that is really what I want to happen. And like you said, not for me, but for His glory.
People need to go to Amazon.com. Type in up there in that little search bracket, addicted to dysfunction, or type in Benita Tyler, Tyler. It'll take you there. You can get it in the hard copy. You can get it in the Kindle form. Can you get it at Barnes & Noble?
Online, yes, you can.
And they probably have available with their Nook.
I'm not sure if it's on the Nook. I would assume that it is, but I can't be. I don't want to say for sure. I'm not really positive that
Okay.
you can.
But we do know you can get it on your Kindle. You can get it in hard copy at Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. Do yourself a favor and go get this book. So I'm telling you, once you sit down, you're not going to be able to stand up again. I mean, eventually you'll stand up. I mean, you just won't want to get up. I better clarify that.
Right.
Yeah, once you get down, you won't be able to get back up again. That's not right. My goodness. Let it up to Espinlaub. He'll come up with something. Benita, what's the plans for you in the future?
Well, I am currently working on another book. It's going to be called Symmetry of the Confident Woman. And it's going to be, I envision it to be kind of like a workbook where it's going to help women to find their confidence, through, we wear a lot of hats in life, as women, we're doing a lot of things, being moms, being full-time workers, just everything that we do. So you have to be able to find that balance. So I decided that, I would write this book, Symmetry of the Confident Woman, to help women find balance. And I've also kind of gone down another road, George. This book is totally different. I'm almost done with it. It's an urban book. It's a lot different from, my inspirational books. And I'm actually writing this book for my husband. He's an avid motorcycle rider. He rides. He has his own motorcycle club. In an urban setting. So, there's a lot of motorcycle guys that ride with him and people that he knows. And so I've kind of put a story together about his alter ego and his motorcycle adventures, if you will. And I'm almost done with this book. I'm pretty excited about it for that type of audience. I think that they will really gravitate to this type of book that I'm writing for him. And the reason why I decided to write that book is, you have to be able to write about what you know about. And being married to somebody for 20 years who just, is obsessed almost with motorcycles, how can you not be able to write about that?
Exactly.
So that's something that I'm working on currently. I will have that book out in 2013. And then my Symmetry of the Confident Woman, maybe by the end of 2013 or early 2014, I should be done with that book. I really love writing, and I did want to tell you one thing that I have learned about my Addicted to Dysfunction, Released to Live Life Out Loud book, is that one surprising thing, I should say, is my male readers. I have really gotten the most emotional from hearing about, being given testimony back from my male readership. I've had one guy buy a book, and he read the book, and he turned around and bought 16 copies of this book for his family members to take to his family reunion. And I thought that was so awesome because, usually males, and I'm not saying that to be, chauvinistic or anything. Sometimes males don't like reading these types of books that dive into these things, dysfunction and how to make yourself better, how to fix yourself, so to speak. But I have had males, just be able to, identify with some part of the book, whether it's the disappointment chapter, maybe their dad wasn't in their life, and just whatever that may be. But I really have enjoyed that. And when you say that a person would read this book and sit down and not be able to get up, well, I'd like to just let the readers know that many people that have read this book have told me, that they sat down and they couldn't put it down. They read the book, in a couple days and were done, because it was that captivating for them, because there's something in the book for everybody. There's something that anybody can identify with.
I think a lot of times when it comes to the male species, number one, we're thick-headed anyhow. Excuse me. But when we see something like this, although we're thick-headed, most of us can look at the title of a book and just seeing that word dysfunction,
Yeah.
that can set off red flags, whistles, and sirens in your head. And you know that if you open that book up, it's going to be like a mirror, and you're going to see yourself in it. But yet at the same time, as much as we're thick-headed, but we can figure out that word dysfunction, as much as we're afraid to look at it, open it up and look at and see ourselves, we'll sneak up on it. It's like a little kid walking up to something that's warm, and they reach out and then they pull their hand back and they get a little bit closer, pull their hand back, and until finally they just can't take it no more and they got to touch it and it hurts. That's kind of like the male species. When you see something like that, eventually, and our thick-headedness comes back again. I don't know why we just don't open it up and start reading it, because we're going to open it up and read it anyhow, sooner or later, because we're just that way. And then the work begins, and that's why you're getting those great responses from the male readers. We'll look around and make sure there's not another male around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and we'll look around and make sure the wife's not there, or the girlfriend's not there, and then we'll take a little peek. And then if we hear somebody coming, we'll shut it up real quick and lay it over there, like we wasn't even in it. But then the next opportunity we get, we're right back at it again. So that's the kind of creatures we are. We're just flat out weird, Benita. We're just weird. But that book, I agree with you 100%. That book is going to grip people, and you're going to get all kind of testimonies ringing back at you of how powerful it was. I really appreciate you taking the time and being with me tonight.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity as well, George. It's been my pleasure.
And if I can do anything at all for you, please call me. You've got my number. Email me. You've got that. Send a pigeon. Fly over. If you skydive, jump out of an airplane. There's numerous ways to get me. But if you need anything, please holler at me. I'll do everything I can to help you.
I really appreciate that. I will swim across the Delaware if needed.
All righty.
maybe reach out to you, George. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was very, very pleasant. Very, very pleasant. And that was by Storm Chaser. Spice House. I want to say thank you to our friends at musicalley.com. That's musicalley.com. Pay them a visit. There are a whole lot of goodies on that website, and you will reap the benefits. musicalley.com. And I thank them. We play a lot of our music from musicalley.com, and we thank them very, very much. I also want to say thank you once again to Benita Tyler, who was with us tonight, and we talked about her book. We highlighted it. That's what we did. Addicted to Dysfunction, Released to Live Life Out Loud. You can get it hardback or paperback, or you can get it in the Kindle edition. Kindle edition is like $3.99. So get it, download it on your Kindle, and read it. I think it's like 228 pages, and you'll just love it. You'll love it to death. I know you will. There's been some good reviews that I was reading here on Amazon.com. So go to Amazon.com, and there you can get it either in the book form or download it digitally so you can put it on your Kindle. It'll come down in a minute or so. So do that. Thank you, Benita. We highlighted it. She took us through the highlights of it. So now you got to find out all the little nuggets that's in there, so you can go dig in there. There's some great reviews there. I'll tell you what, this next song that we're going to play, I mean, it's just plain goofy. But that's the way we are around here. We're playing goofy. You know? Yeah. We are. We're just playing goofy. So that's why we're going to play this goofy song.
I love you. Did I mention I love you? I've always loved you, and I think I always will. To show you how much I care, I made you a necklace out of pieces of human hair that I collected from all of the girls that I thought that I loved before. I need you, I need you, I need you. Never deceive you, and I'll never leave you, no matter what you say. To show you my love will last, I wrote you this poem and carved it into my back. And now it's infected, but it's okay. The pain just reminds me of how you smells like love and pigeon heads. I'm crazy. Did you know that I'm crazy? I'm crazy about you and crazy for blood. Please could you not pay attention to anything else that I say, cause I forgot to take all my medicine. Now all I'm thinking about is the harvesting of human toenails and making a full-scale replica of John C. Reilly's face.
I told you that song was just plain crazy. Of course, this is the Funny Farm. You're listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. We have no idea where this is. We have no mailing address. We don't have a mailbox. We just live in our world, and we're contented. We're contented. That's all. That's all, folks. That's all. That's all that counts. We want you to become a full-fledged loon. How do you become a full-fledged loon? Very simple. Here's some things that you don't have to do. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to sign up for anything. here is the one thing that you do have to do. Just show up. Just come and listen to the show. Our main goal here is twofold. Number one, we want to put a smile on your face, even if it's a slight smile, even if it's only there for a few seconds. We want to brighten up your day or your night, whatever the case might be. Our second objective is to make you just as crazy as the rest of us are around here, including Charlie, Miss Ernestine, who is away on assignment, Harvey, who is out working on his automobile, and all of the gang here at the Funny Farm. Charlie made it back. Charlie's back. Charlie is my co-host. He's the announcer. He runs the board for us, and it's good to have you back, Charlie. Charlie's over there standing on his head, clapping his feet. People just love Charlie around here. You know, Charlie the wiener dog. Anyhow, hey, listen, tomorrow night, November 20th. Good gravy. This week, or this month is flying by. Tomorrow night, you don't want to miss it. We have a lady by the name of Karna Bodman. That's Karna Bodman, who is, or who was, the former director of the National Security Council for President Reagan. She is a fine author, and she was at the White House under President Reagan, I think, for 5 or 6 years. So Karna Bodman will be with us tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we are anticipating her arrival here at the Funny Farm. I believe that you're going to be entertained. I believe that you're going to find some information that you didn't know before, and that's what this is all about. See, we want to be informative, and we want to entertain you at the same time. And we have had some tremendous guests. Yes, we have. You bet we have. We have had some tremendous guests that have come through these gates here at the Funny Farm. I won't tell you how many has decided to stay. Many have come, but few have left. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the way it is here. We have that effect on people. So. That was the Funny Farm. Hello, people. They are real people. Now remember, the Funny Farm here is a place where fantasy and reality are intertwined, and we don't know the difference. Of course, for us that live here on the Funny Farm in our world, we don't care what the difference is. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You know? Yeah, we don't care. We're laughing. I mean, and you know we don't care. But anyhow, that's what goes on around here. It's a place where fantasy and reality are intertwined, and we don't know the difference, and we don't care to know the difference. And when you come to the Funny Farm, when you come to the George Espinlove show that's live from the Funny Farm, you shouldn't care either. I mean, let your hair down, loosen up, tap your feet, snap your fingers, bob your head, and shake your booty, because that is what it's all about, coming and having a good time. And then, there's another goofy song that Charlie digs these things out. You know what I mean? I hear Car on a Train. Do what? Sounds interesting.
never even came. There was a car and a train. I think you know the tunnel, but I won't say the name of the car.
Yep, let it up to Charlie. He's out there. I don't know what that was called. He's doing some kind of break dancing out there. I don't know. He was half upside down, half right side up. I guess if you are half side upside down, then you're right side up. Anyhow, because what am I trying to say? What's wrong with me? Hey, I want to tell you what happened to me this afternoon. Before we go any further, like you're really concerned, huh? Yeah. Like you really want to know what happened to me this afternoon. Well, I'll tell you anyhow. Anyhow, I was doing some work and doing some show prep and this, that, those, and these and blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden, this thing came down upon me. This thing that I tell you about every now and then, it gives me that sneezy, snotty, sniffly, stuffed up, runny nose type thing. Well, it came down upon me out of nowhere, and I started sneezing. I couldn't stop sneezing. I didn't count. I wished I would have counted. But I would be willing to bet I sneezed at least 25 to 30 times. I mean, I was sneezing so much my nose hurt. And now that I'm saying that about my nose, it wants to run. I got to thinking, what if I get one of those come down upon me that makes me sneeze while I'm on the air? What am I going to do? I mean, and so I determined that if it would happen, I'd just have to, I don't know, I'd just have to back away from the mic and sneeze. I mean, I wouldn't have no chance. I mean, no choice. I just have to sneeze. That's all. And I'd tell you beforehand, because, you can feel the sneeze coming. I'd tell you beforehand, I can't even speak right. I'd tell you beforehand that something's coming down on me, and it looks like I'm going to be, blowing the whistle here for a while. And I just have to get away from the mic a little bit and just let it out. That's yeah, Charlie, I get the message. I can take a hint, buddy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Crying My Heart Out by Cliff Stevens.
My tears, although I try, they just start pouring down, just like rain from the sky. What a lonely time I had, crying my heart out over you. crying my heart out over you. It's been so long, 4 long years. Well, I'm sorry, sorry now, baby, but want it to be you, drowning your tears. Goodbye, baby, I'm all done through, crying my heart out over you.
Crying my heart out over you. Yeah. Uh-huh. Cliff Stevens. Oh, I love those blues. One more time, go to Amazon.com and pick up the book that our guest was telling us about tonight. It's by Benita Tyler, Tyler, Benita Tyler. Addicted to Dysfunction. Go to Amazon. You can buy it in the book form or you can get it in the Kindle form. Either way, Addicted to Dysfunction. And I've read some great reviews. For instance, I'll only read a portion of this. For a self-help type of book, this one does not get preachy and tell the reader what he or she must do. Instead, it's an honest account of one woman's struggle to find herself in a world that hands her misfortune after misfortune. She finally emerges, not totally unscathed, but better and brighter for having survived all of those misfortunes. Another one says, I couldn't put this book down. I read it in 6 hours, 2 of which I prepared dinner for my family. I want to say we all have dysfunctions in our life, however, we dare not share it with the world. Furthermore, we want to think that somehow we are all perfect. Your book has given me courage to face my childhood wounds. Benita, thank you for sharing your raw story with us. One more here. It says, I finished the book in 3 days. This book changed my life. I was totally submerged into this book after page 2. I wished I would have had this book 5 years ago when I was struggling with life challenges. Benita Tyler is a great author and life coach. I felt like she was holding my hand throughout the whole book. I've learned to be myself and not be a people pleaser. I'm released to live life out loud. When life gets crazy, I catch myself with this book in my hand. So go to Amazon.com and get the book. Every one of us can relate. Addicted to Dysfunction. That's what we need to do.
When you called me an angel, said I was heaven sent to save your heart. Well, I may be tempted, I may like what I hear. You woke up the devil, now she's whispering in my ear. Or do you think you're talking
Look out, here they come. The Funny Farm Drum Corps. They're liable to pop up and come through any time. Here they come. Opening big doors. That's it. Got to march through. Make way. For you that have never heard the Funny Farm Drum Corps, they march backwards. I'm telling you, they march backwards. Look out, here they come. Oh, there they go. They come and they go. I mean, just that quick. They march backwards. The Funny Farm Drum Corps. I think we need to give them a big applause and a big cheer. Yes, give it to them. All right. You're listening to the George Goofy Espinlab Show. Coming to you live from that crazy place called the Funny Farm in our world. Yeah, right. Anyhow, that was the Funny Farm Drum Corps that marches backwards. Now, we have a Funny Farm marching band that marches backwards, too. And sometimes they get together, the marching band and the drum corps, and they march backwards. You've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's a piece of work. I mean, it's like art. I just can't describe it. You have to see it to believe it. Nowhere else will you find a drum corps or a marching band that marches in sync backwards. I mean, they'll march for miles and miles and miles and miles, because that's just the way it is here at the funny at the Funny Farm. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just telling you the way it. Yes, Charlie.
Of a middle-aged man, and I saw myself someday with some money saved up and a couple of kids. If I'm lucky, I'll be that way. But right now, all that's a mystery laid out there in front of me. The road ahead is wide and clear, and every mile is one short year. And they tell me they're gonna fly, all I've got is time. I've got a girl and only God knows how far down that road goes. For now it's going alright, but I'm not thinking about tonight. Got my mind on tomorrow instead. I'm just looking at the road ahead. Every handshake with my grandpa, I'm thinking it'll be my last. 'Cause most of his road, for all we know, is behind him in the past. But I'll have him in my heart to guide me through the things I should and should not do. And the road ahead is wide and clear, and every mile is one short year. And they tell me they're gonna fly, but all I've got is time. Most of the roads that I've been on were dirt and gravel, and they're all gone, mostly dead ends anyway. I've cut the chains on yesterday, got my mind on tomorrow instead. I'm just looking at the road ahead. Time on my side and one willing heart and a GMC and a pretty good start. And for now it's running alright, but I'm not thinking about tonight. Got my mind on tomorrow instead. I'm just looking at the road ahead. The road ahead is wide and clear.
The Road Ahead. I was having a sneezing spell while that was playing, and I feel another one coming on, so enjoy this. So good. They're all goofy. Excuse me. Every one of them's about, of course we are at the Funny Farm, right? Bunch of loons around here. And we want you to become a full-fledged loon just like the rest of us. Well, we got to get out of here. But before we do, one more time, thanks to Benita Tyler, who has written the book Addicted to Dysfunction. You can go to Amazon, Amazon.com. And pick it up there either on the Kindle form or the hard copy form. So get it. It's a good book. And I'm going to get it, put it on my Kindle before the sun went down, but the sun's been down for quite a while. Not long after I get off the air. But anyhow, oh man, that thing came down upon me and I was sneezing again. I just couldn't shut it off. And I didn't want people to hear me sit here and sneeze one time right after another. Although I wonder what the record is. I wonder if somebody could find out what the record is. I'm serious. Because when that thing comes down on me, I mean, I'm in record territory then. But anyhow, there's a whole lot of love coming to you from the Funny Farm. We mean that. I want you to email me, George CE. That's George CE at Comcast.net. George CE at Comcast.net. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're facing, we want you to know that there's people here at the Funny Farm. I know we're strange, we're delirious, we're downright goofy, but we do care about people. Email us, GeorgeCE at Comcast.net. Whatever you're going through, we're here. If it's nighttime wherever you're at, have a good night. If it's already tomorrow where you're at, have a good tomorrow. I want to give a big shout out to all my friends. You know who you are, far and wide, down the street, around the corner, across this nation, and around the world. I appreciate you so very, very much. You make this all possible, and we're going to make it better and better and better just because of you. Excuse me. So until tomorrow night, same time, same station, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Live right here at the Funny Farm. This is George Espinlove saying good night and God bless you.